about that time. Assemble and talk. No cap. It's a civil war. You thinking you worthy. You feeling like door. Smash that like button like Hawk, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here once again. If you're new to the channel or if you're not, this is the best podcast in the multiverse. Smash that like button like Hawk. Please subscribe. Join the team. All right, you've seen the title. You know why you're here. That means you've been following Secret Invasion on Disney+. They just dropped the second episode. Well, not just dropped. Last week they dropped it. I wanted to give a few days before I give my review on it. You know, let y'all catch up on it. Let everybody be up to speed. All right, I jotted down some pinpoints here, some things I wanted to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. It starts off the episode. First, it shows a flashback of 1995 from when the Skrulls first came on Earth, back in the Captain Marvel movie and everything. Then it fast forwards 2 years to 1997 in Brixton, London, right? I think I'm saying that right. Brixton, London, yes. They show Nick Fury. He says one Skrull's name, which is Vara, is a lady Skrull. She brings in a little boy and everything. There's a whole bunch of other Skrulls there too. It's happens to be Gravik when he was a little kid. She introduces Gravik to Nick Fury or whatever. She tells him that his parents died and everything. Whatever, he speaks to him. I think that was not much for that scene, but it was just story building, right? And everything, you know. She talks about how he's a survivor and everything. He's really smart and everything. So it just gives you a little insight on Gravik and who he is as a person, right? All right. I want to touch back on Vara a little later because I feel like I noticed something. But let's just move on from there, right? All right. So later on in the episode, they show Nick Fury with Talos on a train, right? They're on a train going across somewhere, and they're in their little room. Then he tells him about, Nick Fury starts telling Talos about his upbringing with his mom, how he didn't have much, and you know, all of that stuff. And then he says they used to play this little game called Why Don't I Know? He ends up asking Talos, does he want to play the game? Talos is like, sure, why not, right? He kind of sees where this is going. And then he's like, what don't I know about the destruction of Skrullos? He's like, you know everything, which is a lie, right? And then he's like, he ends up revealing that there's 1 million Skrulls on Earth since then, right? Since 1995, they didn't leave. He thought they was on a spaceship, right, up top and everything. But they've been here the whole time. That's very interesting, right? So that means our whole entire MCU watching, there's been Skrulls around, like, since then. Like, not just the one or two or the handful. It's 1 million Skrulls. That's crazy, right? So Nick Fury is very furious about this, no pun intended. And he's like, I don't think there's enough room right here in this little compartment on this train. You should go, right? Because he was saying right before that, bro, there's not enough room on Earth, right? Like, humans don't even get along with humans. Like, how you want us to coexist with Skrulls? Talos just wants his planet. You promised us a planet, bro. Like, come on, bro. It's been 15, well, actually, it's been 30 years, right? Like, we want our planet, bro. So, to move on from there, we see Nick Fury at an airstrip. They're bringing out a casket. It's obviously, well, they confirm that it's Maria Hill. A lady comes onto screen to speak to Nick Fury. She tells him, were you there? And everything, asks him, were you there? Basically, that was Maria Hill's mother. So she basically confirmed that her daughter's dead. But her daughter works for the government, so how much does she really know, right? But Nick Fury also says it too. Like, yeah, she died in, but she asks where did it happen at East? Like, it happened in Moscow. So we kind of got a confirmation that Maria Hill is dead. I know a lot of us want her back, but she's gone, right? But who knows, right? We have to see the rest of the series to see what happens. All right, so from there, we see a whole bunch of media outlets, news coverage being played, and they basically confirmed that over 2,000 people died in the bombings back in Moscow. It's crazy because last episode I was like saying like 500 to 800, and when I was talking to my homie before I recorded the episode, I was telling him like, yo, maybe it could be 1,200, but he talked me down a little bit. He's like, nah, not that many. But wow, it was even more. 2,000 people died, and they say after they removed the rubble and everything, who knows? It could be more. So later on in the episode, we see Gravik and Gaia. They pull up to a building or whatever. He's going to a meeting. He hands Gaia a gun. He's like, yo, if I don't come out in an hour, shoot this guy right here in the head. He was the security guard that was watching the door of the meeting he was going in. They get into this meeting. There's a whole bunch of other people, prime ministers. It was one of the guys that was on the news coverage, was doing the news coverage, and we basically found out all these people are Skrulls. Basically, the Skrulls then infiltrated, and they're kind of powerful figures, some powerful more than others, but they're people in this world, right? Like, in disguise. So they start speaking whatever. One of them is not having it and everything. He's like, yo, you wilding out on Gravik. Like, you did a bombing, you didn't tell nobody about it. Like, you killed mad innocent people. Long story short, Gravik, like, yo, sit down, bro. Like, whatever, nigga. Like, this is what's going on. Comes to find out, they end up, one of them that was there, I think it was one of the prime ministers somewhere. She's like, I vote Gravik as the new Skrull general. Crazy, right? Like, the other guy's not feeling it. She ends up having her security guard come chop him in the throat and everything. Like, yo, sit down, bro. So they appoint Gravik the new Skrull general. I mean, I already thought he kind of was a Skrull general, but to hear that he's of all of the undercover Skrulls, he's basically the president now. Gravik is moving on up now. He got more power. We've already seen how ruthless he is. Now he just can do what he wants for real now. All right, so move on from there. We see Rhodey, right? Rhodey comes back for a second episode appearance. Before I talk about that, in this scene, what happens? I was rewatching episode 1, and I noticed that I was like, yo, I heard that he was gonna be the president of the United States, right-hand man. I don't know how true that is. Well, in the first episode, he's walking with the new president of the United States. So that's kind of confirms that rumor a little bit, but it wasn't confirmed. But they're really close, we see. All right, so Rhodey goes and he has a council meeting with the other nations of the world, and it's in London, by the way. He's there as a U.S. envoy. So, you know, if you don't know what envoy is, basically a person that's like an ambassador for the U.S. government or any government. You know, he's there to travel overseas, to be there for the president who couldn't be there. He actually mentions that, how like, yo, bro, he's a very busy man, the most powerful nation on earth. And he threw that in there too, to let them know, like, our powers, you know, be here. He can't just get up whenever y'all call for him. Not for France, not for none of y'all, right? Like, so after that, he gets a call from Nick Fury, right? When he leaves the meeting, Nick Fury wants to speak with him. He's like, yo, bro, like, he's already giving him, like, shit. Like, yo, bro, you causing a lot of mayhem out here, bro. Like, the nerve of you, like, to be calling me like this. So he ends up telling him, like, yo, meet me over here at 1 p.m. They sit down and meet. You already see it that Rhodey's, like, on hots, right? He's like, he's mad. Nick Fury comes, sits down, they start speaking. You know, he's talking to him aggressively, like, you like, yo, Rhodey's wilding. Like, it makes you think the whole time, like, yo, is Rhodey a Skrull? And I know I see that a lot online, that people are already assuming that he's gonna be the Skrull to be revealed. And it kind of seems like that. But it kind of also seems a little too obvious. Like, they want us to think that, so maybe he's not a Skrull, he's probably just really upset. Like, bro, you got me out here cleaning up mess, and not just me, the rest of the government. But I noticed, and I seen people pointed out also, but he refers to Nick Fury as Nick. And to go back to Captain Marvel, when he was explaining to her, like, no one calls me Nick, only Fury. So people was, like, trying to say, like, oh, look, he's a Skrull because he said Nick. But you gotta think about it. That was Nick Fury, the one that said, like, only people call me Fury, right? It's not like he done went to everybody that he knows and be like, yo, only call me Fury, right? Like, sometimes people gonna call you by your first name, right? Not by your last name or by your nickname. So I don't think that automatically makes him a Skrull. That's what I'm getting at. But one of the biggest clues from that whole little scene, not just him sitting down right before that, when he's leaving the meeting, he's walking down the steps, Rhodey, and he's walking perfectly fine. And we all know in Civil War, he fell from way high, ended up having to get put in leg braces to walk because he was partially paralyzed. So I think that was one of the biggest clues right there. Like, he's not walking with a limp. He's not walking slow. Like, he's just walking, like, you know. So I think that was a big, big clue. So maybe he is a Skrull. I'm not sure. If he is a Skrull, I just, you know, like anyone else, I want to know since when. And are we going to get the real Rhodey back? Did they just kill him off screen? And that would be messed up to the fans, right? Like, we would be like, damn, like, at least I could have showed us that scene. But I don't know. Let's see what happens with him. To move on, we see Gaia, right? She's back at the new Skrullos facility. she's watching Pagan, and like Pagan leaves. He goes to one room, he goes to another door, and she sees him go to a room, right? And it's like these big, I don't know, like beams, right? Like standing up or whatever, and they look high tech. So she goes further in, and she gets into a computer. She logs in, and she starts investigating. She comes across a screen. It's funny because I watched this and I noticed it in real time. You know, I'll be pausing everything with these shows, like in the movies, just to make sure I catch stuff. So I had noticed the screen. Most of y'all probably already did. I'll pop it up for you, for those who don't or didn't see it. But it showed different creatures, basically, or beings, let's say extraterrestrials or whatever. Some, basically, one was Groot. One was the Frost Beast from Jotunheim. The other was Cole Obsidian, one of Thanos's, you know, the big guy, the one that came to Earth first with Ebony Maw. And then the other one is Extremis, from Iron Man 3. So when I paused that, it was pretty obvious, and they're clearly making either a Super Skrull, which I believe would be graphic, right, or Super Skrulls, period. And it's crazy because we all know the Super Skrulls come from the Fantastic Four, right? He has each one of their powers. You know, he can stretch, he can turn on fire. He's he can turn as rock, like the Thing, you know, as strong, and Invisible Woman. But the MCU likes doing things a little different. And plus, the Fantastic Four are in the MCU yet. We know they're gonna come, but they're not here yet, so he can't use their powers. So I think that was kind of cool. Like, I think it's gonna be cool that, you know, they'll still find a way to make a similar Super Skrull, but not using the originals. You know, it's all about seeing how it pans out, like how it happens and how it, you know, how the Super Skrull fights, how it looks, how he uses his powers, you know, how cool is it gonna be. So I'm open to it. I'm not mad that they're not using the Fantastic Four powers or whatever, but so we seen in the trailer that Gravik like stretches his arm or whatever. I'm assuming that's Groot's power, right? Because, you know, Groot can stretch. He could stretch. The Frost Beast from Jotunheim, I'm assuming they trying to like substitute that for the Invisible Woman, you know, since she turns invisible, it looks kind of bluish or whatever. Maybe they just use it on ice. Who knows? Maybe it could be cooler, you know. Instead of not seeing him, you'll see him use ice powers, you know, frost powers. So that's the second one. The third one is Cole Obsidian. Clearly a substitute for Thing, right? Obvious. That's like, you know, indestructible. And then the last one is by far the most obvious is Extremis. Fire powers, same thing as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Fire powers. So when you pause it, whatever, like I said, I'll pop it up on the screen. Y'all can see each one. Pause it on it so y'all can read everything. It's gonna be a little hard to read because, you know, it's a recording on well, I took the screenshot, but in the show she's looking at the screen. It's not like they just popped it up on our screen. And it's crazy, like you can see, like it made me think, all right, like where did they obtain all of them? But it says it right above their pictures. It says acquired from or whatever. They all was on Earth. The only one that at first I was like, how did they get the Frost Beast from Jotunheim, right? But then I remembered it came through the portal in Thor: The Dark World in London. So that was my answer right there. So let's see what happens with the Super Skrull, right? Let's see how great that pans out. Oh, by the way, Cole Obsidian, if y'all wondering how they even got Cole Obsidian's DNA. Remember his hand got chopped off in Infinity War. The government don't play. They took back everything. So that was another one. All right, let's move on from there. I got just a couple more pinpoints. I had to look up her name, Sonya Falsworth. That's the lady that Nick Fury was speaking to at first. That, you know, she had her men kidnap him and everything, throw the bag over his head, whatever. And then he put the little it was like a contact that could record, right? Basically some spy gadget. He put it on her little owl or whatever, the fake owl, whatever was spying on her. Oh, in the second episode, y'all seen how sinister this lady is. She comes in while they're already torturing captured Skrull. The scene is supposed to be like they, you know, the Skrull don't reveal themselves, so he's trying his best to hold it down and not snitch or whatever. And he's in his human form, you know, he's not even in Skrull form. She comes in, you know, with her swagger and everything, you know, she's just high class, rich lady. And she's like, all right, I'll take it from here. She goes, right, and she cuts off his finger. I think that was probably one of the most R-rated scenes in the MCU ever. I'm not saying it's the most R-rated scene, but it was definitely up there, probably top 3, right? I did not expect that. I was like, oh, all right, this show is definitely... They're not playing in this show. There's really no humor in this show, which I love so far, right? We had enough humor in the last whole Phase 4, even Ant-Man being the first movie of Phase 5. You know, we had a lot of that, right? So, and even in Guardians was great, by the way. She injects him with a needle that boils his blood. I forgot the exact temperature of how high, but it was super high that you see his red veins and like everything turning red, like it's really hurting him and burning him in the inside. He's still not trying to snitch or whatever. So I like the direction it's going in. She ends up, you know, getting him to talk when she was like, yo, listen, I'm about to inject you again with this needle, boil your blood even more. He's like, all right, he snitches. On the other end, we seen Gravik and I guess his not his right hand man, but that's like the person that's right under him that he gives all the orders to. Pagan. They come in, you know, they loaded up with guns. They raid the place. Yo, that scene was fire, by the way. If y'all go back and watch that scene again, Gravik was, yo, he's really an assassin. Like, he's about that. He's really about that. Yo, he took one guy, he grabbed him and just hung him on a meat rack hook. Like, you know that hurts, like. But he was wilding in there. His hand-to-hand combat, everything about it. Like, he's really good at what he does. I can't wait to see more Gravik. And I wonder if he's going to die in this show. After that, she knows what was coming, too. Because when she first got in there, she put the bar behind the door so they could lock it. Just in case somebody tried to get in. And then they're like, what's that for? She's like, oh, just in case I got a feeling, right? So she already had a feeling. Like, she knew they was going to come for him. So they end up getting in. She's long gone. She escapes through a floor tunnel. Gravik's like, damn, she's gone, whatever, forget her. He tells Pagan, yo, grab homie, the other scroll that was captured. Right before they leave, though, he stops. He's like, hold on, what did you tell him? He's like, nothing. He's like, only lies. And that's a lie. But Gravik is too a G for that, like, he can tell. So he's like, all right, come on. You take them in the car where they got Gaia waiting. And the kid that Gaia had, I guess, welcomed into New Scrollos at the beginning of episode 1, sorry. They keep, they driving home or whatever to New Scrollos. They going through the woods. He like, yo, pull over. Gravik tell them, pull over. So the kid pulls over. Pagan takes him out. The guy's like, yo, we home yet? He's like, nah, not yet. Almost. He takes him to the woods. You already see where this is going. Pretty sure he blew his muffin cap back blue, right? Like, he assassinates him. Gaia's just sitting there scared. Like, like, she knows she's in too deep. And I like that Gravik keeps saying things to her that makes it feel like he's aware that she's, snitching or whatever. That she's not really down with them. So they drive home, whatever, after that. Last thing I wanted to point out. So we see the end scene. Nick Fury pulls up to like a little like garage or whatever. He has one of his old Range Rovers in there. He leaves. He drives through the woods. He gets to his, I guess that's his house, right? And then you see a lady. She's a scroll. She's cutting like vegetables and stuff. And then she hears that he's coming, right? And I guess he's pulling into the driveway. And she turns back into human form. He gets in the crib. He's like, hey, honey, whatever. She's like, you forgetting something? He puts his wedding ring back on. He's like, better? She's like, yeah. They kiss or whatever. The music starts playing. Basically, that was the song from that Jay-Z and Kanye track. I forgot the name of it. It's escaping me. But yeah, it was like the original song of that. And the screen goes black. I wonder if, two things, right? I wonder if Nick Fury knows that she's a Skrull, right? And if she is, that could mean two things. That could mean, right? Like, he's accepted his girlfriend to be a Skrull, his wife to be a Skrull, or Nick Fury's probably a Skrull also, right? That's back to episode 1 theory that I was saying. Another thing I wanted to mention was, I wonder if his wife is Vera, that he showed in the beginning, in the flashback scene from 1987 in Brixton, London. I try to go back and see if I can notice anything the same, because I noticed his wife was wearing 2 necklaces. I try to see if Vera was wearing that in the episode in the beginning. I mean, earlier in the episode, but she wasn't. But the shirt color was the same. I know that's a stretch, but it kind of seems like it could be her. So I wonder if it is or not. There was no post-credit scene in this one again, but like I said before, that doesn't mean there can't be one in future episodes. So we just gonna have to wait and see. overall, I thought this episode was really good. I thought it was actually better than the first episode. Shout out to my homeboy Real. He hit me up. He didn't think it was better than the last episode, but for me, I was explaining to him like it was very informative. They moved the story forward a lot. It wasn't just like a filler episode, you know what I mean? We did have action scenes too here and there. For me, it was a better episode. I can't wait to see the next episode this Wednesday or Tuesday night if you're up at 3 in the morning, like I said before. That's what they do on Disney Plus. The reason they do that too is because it comes out at it has to come out everywhere in the US at 12 a.m., right? So the last place that hits 12 o'clock is on the West Coast. Yeah, I can't wait to the next episode. If I had to rate this episode, it was a solid 7.58. Yeah, it wasn't too much better than the first episode, but I definitely thought they pushed the needle a little bit forward and we got more information and stuff. So we like, all right, we see how serious the Skrull invasion is. So that's that. Overall, I think the series is going really well. So we're gonna have to stick it out and hopefully they land the landing correctly, right? So let me know in the comment section what y'all thought of this week's episode 2. Did you think it was better than last episode? How are you liking the show overall? Let me know all in the comment section. Also, let me know what I think about them creating a Super Skrull. I mean, it's not facts that they're creating Super Skrull, but I think it's pretty obvious, right? So let me know what y'all think about that, about them switching it from it being the original way they did it in the comics, from it being the Fantastic Four members to now doing these new members that was already in the MCU before. And also, last but not least, do you think Rhodey is a Skrull? Please let me know in the comment section. This is Assembly Time. I am Sluggy. Subscribe, join the team. Until next time, Assembly Time.
It's about that time. Assemble and talk. No cap. It's a civil war. You thinking you worthy. You feeling like door. Smash that like button like Hawk, yeah.